Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody in between and all over the world, welcome to History in Real Time. Top quality action between two titans of the mixed division who have a legacy that goes as long as my arm. Am I that tall? Not really. This goes back to about 2016 when these two teams met for the very first time. The terrible toddlers, Grut, were so young and impudent they didn't even have a club name. Back then, they had to borrow their city mates Airborne to go all the way to the final that nobody saw coming, where Reading were waiting for them to give them an education in elite level ultimate. Yes, Reading were able to take that first victory, ladies and gentlemen, but over the subsequent years, Grut built from strength to strength. A very impressive showing in 2017 saw them win over Colorado as Reading came third, but they did not meet at that tournament as Reading lost to Colorado, whereas Grut beat Hashtag Erdvogel. Reading then beat Hashtag Erdvogel to take home the bronze. That was in 2017. 2018, Reading went to Open. Grut did not go to EUCF after making the quarterfinals at the Worlds that year. 2019, 2021, of course, the famous Grut-Salaspils matchup, either side of COVID, with Grut taking the second win back in 2021. Salaspils beat them in 2019. And then, of course, last year's final, that universe point, that run through D from Lola Dam, and Grut got their second title in a row, their third in their club's history, by beating Reading on universe point, 15-14. Now, destiny, as fickle a mistress as she is known to be, might have tempted us with this being a prospective final, but that's just not the way the brackets broke down, as now they meet in the semi-final. This Grut's last mixed season, and Reading right back in the ascendancy where they belong. They don't want to go home with bronze again. They want to fight with every inch of their lives. These are two teams that know each other well, have played each other consistently, and it's always exciting. I am the always excited Lorcan Murray, and I am joined by the wonderful Hannah Pendlebury, who is currently is currently in a stand-in place. Lou Burgess, this one's gonna be exciting as all get out. Where else would you want to be on a Saturday afternoon except here with us at 2023 EUCF Wrocław? Here we go. Reading picking it up on offense, and it's that man, that myth, that legend of Irish Ultimate, Conor Hogan. He had to settle for bronze with Ireland. He will not be looking to do the same with Reading. Immediately into Lewis in the middle of the pitch. The swing around. There's Naden, the ever reliable cutter. Gets it to Thompson. Becky Thompson looks for Hogan right outside the end zone. My ability to understand depth made me think that was a score. He throws the fake. He looks for another break. At this point, the stall count gets high. It's a high release flick. He's looking back corner, and he finds Lewis for the opening score. 1-0.
Well. We knew Reading were going to come into this event strong. They had a disappointing UK Nationals this year. They did have a full roster there. They were trying, but one way or another. I mean, this is what we were told. I wasn't there personally. I don't know. Maybe they were just like throwing out their B team or something. But apparently they were there. They were trying to win UK Nationals. It didn't work out for them for whatever reason. But this tournament, they are looking strong, and a fantastic start. Visionary throw from Hoagie to find Lewis at the back of the end zone. Here's another look. And yes, as Lorcan said, Hannah Pendlebury devolved into me earlier. I'm gonna evolve back into her shortly, but she was over on the other pitch, on the stadium pitch, commentating on the previous women's quarterfinal match.
We've had some brilliant quarterfinal matchups. Now we are here in the semi-finals, the top 4. On our other stream, you can watch the other semi-final that is currently being conducted with Manchot from Le Mans taking on Deep Space from London. But right now it is all about those terrible toddlers. Grut taking their first offensive point against Reading. Blassman looks for Molnar in the middle of the pitch. He has Menard in support, doesn't want it. Initially goes back to Blassman, trying to set up isolations down the break side, trusting their throwers. Menard swings the disc. Janssen, known all around the world for plays just like that. He wants Blassman. He hits him right in the chest.
Well, I'm really pleased that I cycled on my tiny, tiny bicycle really fast to get here for that opening point. No surprises. We know that there's going to be a lot of curvature, some outdoors played indoor style for this Grut side.
2 offensive points, 2 flawless offensive holds.
Oh, well, I thought I'd gotten here. I thought I'd gotten here in time. It did feel like the beginning of the game vibes, but I guess only 1 point being on the board. So, yeah, a rematch from last year's final in Karole. Hopefully no slowdowns to keep things interesting on certain players, but of course we can't get the revenge Lola Dam matchup against Bex Palmer because she's hot-footed it down under. She's residing in Australia. Nothing to do, of course, with losing that final, but certainly it's nice to have potentially a new face at the top of the standings.
Hogan to Thompson, just past the brick mark. Back to Hogan, as you can see Daniel Epstein standing well off the Irish handler, trying to gum up that downfield. And there's the miscommunication. Hogan was already going deep. Thompson looked to lead him. And it's an early error. The first turn of the game, Epstein picks it up. Thinks about the break. Can't get it off. Gets it to Morrison. Well shut down almost immediately by Sam Wilson, but he goes for the break the opposite side and gets the score to Dam.
Well, that is your replacement potentially for Bex Palmer. It's going to be called not quite in bounds by the looks of the hand signals there, but you can see how much Rachel Naden, perfect matchup for Lola Dam, some of the best athletes, the female matching players in Europe, and she's just as annoyed to have allowed the assist to squeak out, but that is the early upwind break of score for Grut. Of course, diagonally across the pitch, left to right on our screen. Was that Franca Tenkart? Well, yeah, with the score, but the assist still came from Lola Dam.
Yes. Yeah. So Franca Tenkart getting the score, getting the first break. Lola Dam finishing it off. So it was a miscommunication and not a block, and that's something I think you have to take strength from if you are Reading. 2-1. Grut in the maroon. Those Marauders. An early lead. But it's a long road ahead of them if they want to make it to the final.
Indeed, it was a real clincher, probably the best game for the entirety of the mixed division back in Karole, but what a change, what a difference. We have parity in all 3 divisions, tight as you get. We just closed up the open and the women's bracket play to decide our semi-finalists. We're only going to get one of each side, though, with our full ULTI.TV coverage. You know what to do if you want to vote on those games, that sort of thing. Become a patron.
So Reading, picking on the disc, Thompson finds Hoagie. Hoagie, they're still standing very far off him. Bignell, a leader in so many senses for this Reading team. Thompson, Lewis. Lewis got that opening score from the high release flick. Finds Bignell. That was a narrow window, but he squeezed it through. Thompson. Lewis clears up the line. Bignell steps back. He wants to keep that switch going. Gets to Wilson on the far side. Back to Bignell in the middle. Looking for Thompson. So they're taking these shallow fields. They don't mind the poaches that Reading or the Grut are trying to do downfield. They're trusting their handlers to just weave it. Hogan stands open in space. Bignell finds him. He'll do that. Hogan fakes around, looks open side again, goes to the inside, flick, break. Lewis tries to find Thompson. Thompson there to finish it off.
But it's the turnover, Lorcan. And that is a shame. Really just a little bit too dialed in, but really smart poaching off, just dropping off a little bit into the soft space.
Brilliant block, shutting the continuation break down the field. So now, coming back in the other direction, our Grut looking to add onto their break tally. Dunshern to Dam, Dam to Janssen. He looks downfield, doesn't like the open side. Tries to get the dump off. I thought he completely misread that. No, in fact, he was always looking for slop. Epstein, Dunshern. Doesn't want the shot to the front corner again. That's the defense is just too tight. They get it to Janssen instead. Janssen's right in front of the end zone. Flip over the top, almost lackadaisical. Lola Dam with another break. 3-1.
Ouch. Well, it's interesting to see there. You've got a pull across from a D-line normal player, of course, Mark Bignell, one of the, if my memory serves, a founding member of Reading Ultimate from way back when. Of course, nice to see him representing. I have a question for you. Since, of course, Reading didn't have the best time of it at UK Nationals, and at that tournament, Mark Bignell was playing with the open team, not the mixed team. Do you think he's one of those talismanic people for Reading Ultimate?
I think he is energizing. I think he transforms what they're capable of doing, not just in a playing sense, but also in an emotional one, a leader in all facets of the game. And right now, Reading are going to need to dig in deep to that emotional core that binds this team together and try to fight back as they go 3-1 down early on.
There are so many reasons to outfit your team in Force beyond just looking the part of a champion. Force offers professional design services with their dedicated graphics team. All apparel is produced in France. Force works with a local labour team and their raw materials are sourced in Europe. Force insists on transparency with no hidden fees and international express shipping. Look the part and play the part with Force Sportswear.
Wait. Isn't this for the other apparel? We've got like new stuff, right? Bring it, bring it in. Feast your eyes on the new fan version of our iconic ULTI.TV sweatshirts. Great fan gear available for you. Check out our new range of colors and insist on staying warm and looking fresh. Shipping is available after EUCF. Get your fan gear and be one of us.
Welcome back. Eurodisc Best Perspective, showing you how Reading are trying to attack this Grut defense. Hogan to Wilson. Pops it to Lewis. He has Naden on the near sideline. Feeds her. And then a beautiful leading pass to Lewis. Sets him up in a power position. Decides against it. Thompson. Looks downfield. Options are well covered. She's going to have to go for the dump. Takes the available shot immediately in front of her to Naden. Naden front corner. Hogan puts on the brakes. Doesn't get free. She shoots to Wilson for the score, and that's a flawless hold.
Of the Grut defense there, going for person coverage, one-on-one defense, and certainly the difference of respect levels is very apparent. So certain matchups there really given lots of space underneath. So you have Lewis and Naden being sort of buffered a little bit. They're receiving a lot of easy undershots, whereas the likes of Hogan being very tightly matched in the near space. Sam Wilson probably taking one of the best matchups, if not the best male matching matchup that Grut have to offer, because of course that number 30 shirt, we've seen it for seasons upon seasons. Sam Wilson is one of the best athletic receivers in the mixed division, hailing from the UK.
Joining him in those offensive ranks, Izzy Collins as well, another phenomenal receiver. But right now, it's about Reading getting that D-line out there and trying to get a break. They don't want to let this lead grow too much. Milnar. Here comes Grut. Straight down, marked by Piper. Piper was incredible in the quarter-final. And that pass goes high, it floats. And a brilliant second. Joe Brown just tapping that away. I thought Blassman was going to rescue possession. Brown had other ideas. Bignell picks it up. Able to get the dump off there or thereabouts. Brown, man who got the block, he looks to launch when he's trying to feed Bignell, but there's Blassman in the area, just peels off the stack, gets the block, throws the blade straight away to Walt Janssen. Janssen, who had that incredible inside-out break side huck. Menard. A name that rings out around the world after the season she's had this year. Blassman, Molnar goes deep, he's in acres of space, but well shut down by Brown on the force. Menard spreads it across. Bardol back into Janssen. Bardol still available. So slightly standing off Leicester. Blassman, he's shooting for the end zone, he's looking for Grut. Piper's there in the vicinity, but Floor chases it down, immaculately read.
Oh, wow. I mean, Floor Grut exploded onto the European scene with this Grut side. Someone who was just absolutely unmarkable, especially when she was a, dare we say it, slightly younger athlete. She had a couple of softer seasons, which for her is soft, but for the majority of people playing Ultimate Frisbee is still really, really darn good. But that is more like it. A couple of games we've watched in recent years, they haven't been able to connect with Floor Grut. That was a little bit of a difficult ask, the offhand grab, full in stride. Didn't need the layout, thankfully, because I tell you what, that far end zone line, Morgan, it is not far away from the fence.
Comes up on you awfully quickly. I think a lot of credit has to go to Blassman for that throw. Completely removed Piper from relevance.
And also, the trying to feed Mark Bignell into the wind. It's always going to sit and hang. If they're going to get the upwind break back, Reading really need to focus on executing those throws and not allowing any air underneath them.
Hogan. And again, you see how Epstein slowly comes in, limit doesn't stop the huck. Lewis is in so much space. Dunsharon's eating dust. Lewis wraps his jaw around some plastic.
Yeah, one of the captains again for Reading Ultimate, Andy Lewis. I think raised by this program, if memory serves, and he's occasionally flirted with other club sides. I think he had a season or two on Clapham, but certainly that is a gimme for Reading. Dunsharon caught sweeping, caught on the back foot. Lewis has been playing around the disc much closer to. In the quarterfinal, we saw a lot of action between Lewis and Naden, probably arguably, and it's a really hotly contested discussion, the best male and female matching player for Reading Ultimate in terms of just on this offensive line, really being able to work with each other, because they both have really big threats on either side of the disc. They both have really solid throws, but are extremely athletic on both sides. Whereas some of the other O-line players for Reading, a little bit more role players. Certainly, we've loved seeing Conor Hogan be explosive and get himself on the goals side of the stats board rather than just the assists, where of course he made his name for himself way back when playing with the Irish mixed teams.
Finalist back in 2016. Sometime around then, but right now we're focused on 2023. And that's what makes Grut, the Blastman scooper over the top. Janssen collects, sends it back into the middle. Wickett quickly spreads to Bernard. Although there is a pick pull, so that's going to go back. You can see Reading rotating defensive assignments on floor alerts. Blastman goes deep, Bernard launches it. It's going to be a bit of a battle, 2 Reading players in the area. And I'm not sure if there's going to be a call. Nope, that's going to be called as a strip, although that might actually be a contest coming out of Coombs. So we're going to have another look at that ourselves.
Ooh, that is a big old bosh from behind. There's a lean back to make the play.
I think an understandable call would be a strip on Jennifer Hagan. If you just look, she was there in the help defense, and it's her hand that knocks it out of Blastman's.
Yeah, that does look like a solid possession, and then contact with another opponent takes it away. Looks like Hagan is signalling for a goal. Jane Hagan, of course, values and cherishes any opportunity to match up against floor alerts. I think she's currently even Steven record for blocks versus getting scored on.
Okay, that's about as good as a record gets against floor alerts.
Well, it's a really interesting one. So Hagan actually only joined the Reading Ultimate program, if memory serves, last season, or the one before. She was sort of a bit of a gun for hire, got picked up by Seoul Ultimate in the women's division, back sort of post-COVID era. And yeah, she's a real dogged athlete. You can see a true mixed player as well, will peel off in any situation using that speed. Of course, just basically stands completely still and just tries to kind of move out. I mean, maybe that's the one thing we could say. She could possibly be a bit more active, read the rest of the play and try and scoot out of the way. Although that does potentially leave sometimes limbs akimbo that could be landed on by other athletes.
It's one of the more prominent, I suppose, concerns when you are playing mixed about making sure you have appropriate body control. These two teams, real exemplars of that art.
Absolutely, just because there's a larger range of athletic bodies out on the pitch.
Reading, who've shown their range, some fantastic throws so far, but still find themselves 5-3 down, following that 3-0 run that Grut went on to make it 3-1. Lewis had to step through quickly. Dan was trying to get the block. And Lewis unleashes a big one looking downfield, trying to find Nate in that connection you were talking about. But this time Tenkat ready for it. Steps under, gets the block. FC with the switch across to Dam. Morson's going to make a big deep cut, but it's looked off. Instead it goes across. Brouwer finds Morson as he comes back under. FC calling for it, despite Nate stepping off and would have got a D, so correct call from Morson. Brouwer briefly interjects himself and goes back to Morson. Epstein's calling for it in the backfield. An athletic grab to maintain possession for Grut. And Morson steps around, sends it back to Epstein, and that is going to be an understandable timeout called. 5-3, Grut currently lead, looking for their third break to extend it to a 3-point gap.
We are Hive Ultimate, a group of players and coaches from all over the world working together to progress the next generation of Ultimate strategy. We've helped top teams win world championships and new teams introduce the sport in a fun and inclusive way. Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn more about our cutting-edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
Right now, Grut coming out of the timeout in a split stack. Be interesting to see how Reading can set up their defense. There was the poach to the open side initially. Epstein, Dunshire just worked together, kind of forced that defense to get a little bit more honest. Thompson chasing after Dam, as many a player has. Morrison down the line, Tenkat. Tenkat has Epstein in the middle, but well shut down on the mark. Quick reactions from Naden. Pop around to Epstein. Takes an open side shot to Dunshire. Dam makes herself available. Dunshire hits in the middle of the pitch. Cut coming. Eventually able to get it to a lot of people getting in the way. Linda Witz. Dunshire. Dunshire looks to find Witz again! Incredible scenes!
Wow, that is a serious trust story. There's going to be a little bit of a discussion about it. I'm not sure exactly on what, because that did look like it was well within the bounds. Maybe it's a toe drag swag to make it not quite a goal, but a wonderful takeoff. And look at the execution of this throw. Oh, that looks pretty good to me. On the replay, it does too. Lots of grins around the booth as the players watch that one back. Well, Linda Witz, a Gothenburg athlete at the moment, originally from Bergen. She's playing for just shy of 5 years, picked up the sport later than most. And she's not afraid to lay out if needed. Proves the survey true here. Of course, previously representing Amsterdam Ultimate and Utrecht in the days post-COVID, but actually was representing with Sweden at EUC in Limerick. So nice to have her aboard, and one of the wonderful windmill organisers alongside Finn Learsh working on Cam 2.
It was a pleasure to call a Sweden game at EUC with you, Hannah, where we watched them dispatch Spain. Oh, that's a harsh thing. But we saw them best Spain, shall we say, and right now they're getting the best of the Brits. 6-3 up. And these Dutch folk are in flying form.
And there was a very close moment of the pool fielding. Just watched it back a little bit extra, just to double check. Reading needs to be careful of making sure that this definitely hits the floor before it hits their hands, is all I'll say. That one, though, fairly certain for everyone.
That first look to Hogan was shut down immediately. Really great chase. Here comes Hogan coming back under, and FC is just making such a nuisance of himself in that open space. Whoever he is marking needs to start going deep, trying to pull him out of there. Bignell. It's back. Wong. Back to Bignell. They have a very deep team. They don't mind going through them, trying out different players. And Stephen Millard siding inside. Backhand break leads Thompson. Thompson thought about setting up after getting into the power position. Takes a breath, takes her time. Back to Hogan. And Hogan launches the flick. He's looking for Naden. Naden's going to have to readjust and grab it. Amazing stuff. This is a high-flying, high-action game.
Oh, wow. Well, not completely edged down spike directly at Lola Dam, but that is an emphatic punctuation mark on a score. Naden finally gets one back in the battle between the number 35 of Reading and the number 4 of Hood. And this is exactly why they are putting a dogged defender on Connor Hogan. Just snatched away. A little bit of a clatter afterwards, but both athletes going toe-to-toe, well matched, but that's got to be a break side shot from Connor Hogan. We talked about him making his name off his throwing prowess, and he shows and delivers exactly why he's being denied that under space repeatedly. So Naden coming back on for defense. Of course, having conceded 3 breaks in this game. What a surprise difference this is between the 2 finalists from last season, Lorcan.
It's important to keep in mind, Reading started the game on offense, so Grut will be receiving the disc coming out in the second half. Reading need to get a couple of those breaks back before it gets that far.
We really do, Lorcan. I'm just pulling up the shape of the game from last season, and it was indeed Grut in the early stages who took the lead. Reading had to come from behind to bring it to Universe in that final last season.
Literally the exact same. Reading opened up with the hold and then Grut went on the 3-point run. I'm sure Reading do not want to repeat of last season's final result. Flor Gullerts with the disc in hand. Being marked by Jennifer Hagen. And Blasman throws it low. Janssen responds by getting down himself. Back to Blasman. As Gullerts, that big pivot. So difficult to stop. To limit Bignell's doing everything he can, but that hop, skip, and the intuition they have between each other. Blasman still gets free. Now Molnar. A quick look to the break side, but nobody's there. Blasman leads Molnar. He's going to chase it down. Takes it well in stride. Gets it back into middle to Janssen. Blasman tries to clear up line. Janssen still waiting. He has Gullerts. He has Blasman. Blasman's there right in front of the end zone. Looks to Flor and hits her.
Oh, Flor Gullerts, you cheeky girl. I mean, not to confuse with the Euro trashy cheeky girls of Songstress fame, but that little button hook around Jen Hagen, just kind of which way am I going to go? Am I going to go this way? I seem to be moving this direction. Oh wait, no, I turned all the way around the bank and I'm going to go collect the little stash of swag on that front cone. My, oh my, well, that is a little bit less than perfect flow from Grut, but they punch in the clean hole. We don't get the start of that cut to deny any attempt from Jen Hagen to come and rip through there, but a bit of smart footwork from Flor Gullerts, wipes it up, gets the mop out.
It's got to be so mentally exhausting when you've stopped the first cut or you stop the second one and she just keeps coming back at you.
Well, she's been playing since she was 11. That shirt number represents the start of Flor Gullerts' illustrious career. Of course, plays largely for the women's program coming out of the Netherlands. And this may well be the swan song of Grut, at least for the mixed division.
Look out, open and women's divisions next year, but right now we are focused on what we've got directly in front of us.
An amazing pull.
Wong staying very confident though. Collins. Lewis is trying his damnedest to get free, and there the throw looking for Hogan. Morrison was there to get the hand out, get the block. That's a turnover.
Exceptional spirit from Hogan as well, just initially signals, yet he knew he'd been done.
Doesn't know who he's marking, he's got to go find Morrison quickly. Blasman, there's the isolation on Dam, and that's always going to be a tall order for Imogen Wong to try and shut down. Grut are making no mistakes, no missteps.
Well, Imi Wong came through the juniors division, 26 years old with a decade of experience, but there's nothing that can prepare you for the experience of matching up with Lola Dam. Really getting that matchup right for Connor Hogan is paying dividends for Grut's defense at the moment. 4 breaks up, doubling up the score of their British opponents, and this is quite the game so far, Lorcan, but we know for a fact from last season, Reading have the money and the gas in the tank to bring it back.
So where else would you want to go? Where else would you want to be but here with us on YouTube, live, wild, free with ULTI.TV.
Have you seen our VO streams? Do you know that VO cameras are built for more tactical team sport analysis? The inbuilt tracking technology allows you to see the game in finer detail. That's why teams are already using it, and ULTI.TV and EUF are teaming up to help you join VO. Contact EUF administration to get more details.
We are
We're a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our
our
work
work.
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and beyond.
Welcome back. That beautiful view brought to you by Eurodisc Best Perspective Wrocław, the host. Grut and Reading, the players. And if all the world is a stage, then where else would you want to watch the best show going? As we have semi-final action. Blasman back to Molnar. Grut 8-4 up, started the game on defense, so receiving as they come out to start the second half. Menard working hard to get free, but she's getting about everything she can handle. So Blasman and Janssen back and forth between each other. Not a huge amount of movement coming downfield from Grut. A bit of a lackluster opening to the second half for them so far. Janssen waiting for somebody to go deep. Floor has burned deep. Timing didn't quite work out.
To be honest, there's no rush though for Grut. They have a 4-point lead. They can afford to run down the clock as long as they like.
Blasman. That's Menard. Instead he goes all the way across to Janssen. Far sideline immediately. Sidearm flick. Right back into Blasman. Menard. Menard to Molnar. Glertz knows what a threat she is deep. Piper's forcing her under. Glertz happy to take the yards that time. Back to Janssen. Isolated in the handler's space, but he trusts that someone's going to become available. Whitcomb makes a move, as does Janssen. Jan Janssen. Leading Menard, cuts a cut to the end zone out early to come back under and get that disc. There's the reset to Whitcomb, has Jan Janssen right outside the end zone. Another veteran of this Grut program. She goes back to Whitcomb. Whitcomb pops it to Molnar, continues the cut himself. Looked open for a second. Molnar doesn't want to force anything just yet, until he can find Janssen for the score in the end zone, 9-4.
Well, massive shout out back home to Joris Janssen. Janssen, the elder who we had the pleasure of covering at the World Great Grandmaster, just Great Grandmasters, Beach Ultimate Club Championships back in Sardinia last week. Milan is sporting the excellent pink flamingo visor. There's also one trotting up and down the sidelines. So nice to have, because we also had Walt and Jana Janssen in the live chat. So if you're related or just a friend or family member of any of these athletes out on the field, bang your chats in the live chat. Let us know that you are watching this one. But yeah, both Janssens working really well there, and such patience offense from Grut. As I said during play, Lorcan, they can really just sit back on the heels here. They can really afford to take their time on offense. It was a slightly hot, well, I say a contested score in the end. There was an excellent body shaping just to really close the door from the defense. I think it might have been Brown on the back shoulder, who is someone you really want to be mindful of every time you are in that sort of position. But solid swinging around the back, patience, and the hold taken by Grut to open up the second half. But Reading really are going to have to play the half of their lives here if they're going to see themselves advance into the finals tomorrow.
Well, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, as Lewis gets the first one going. To Wilson, back to Hogan. Back to Wilson. Morrison trying to shut down whatever he can. Connor Hogan, you can't really stop everything, and then Hogan takes off. Attempting the deep shot and immediately attacking back under.
And leaping over the feet of his mark.
Back to Hogan. Lewis. Thompson clears out. Lewis waits for an option to appear. A huge amount of action happening. These Grut defenders staying very, very close. Wilson able to get there. Looks for Naden, launches a big one. He wants to find Lewis. Excellently done. And the quick pop in score, followed up and finished by Imi Wang.
Well, that is a nice response from Reading conceding 3 on the go with the buy one, get one free action of the break coming out of the first half for Grut. It's interesting to see the change up of the play style. We've seen a lot of Reading Ultimate petting Connor Hogan, that number 91 with the big old arm and the big old legs. So certainly saw him race away towards the downfield quite a few times in the opening stages of this game. But rather than have him sort of hiding out in the stack, then getting underneath with maybe a little bit more separation from the mark, able to do a bit more damage with his throws, actually just straight up chuck him in the handler set, putting another handler upfield. Largely in that point, it was Becky Thompson who was the one kind of pushing through and forward, just sort of rotating the options around there. But a lot of players being forced to play out of their usual position. Normally, it's not Sam Wilson that's throwing those bombs into the end zone for Andy Lewis. It's typically the other way around. But they do it well, and a nice backup as well, immediately one providing that option. So the flow and connections and cohesion for this Reading side starting to glimmer in the late afternoon sun, but it may well be setting on their chances here. Still plenty of clock left, under an hour, but with the way Grut are playing, Lorcan, right now, I'm yet to be convinced.
I feel like that slip pulled my groin, but Molnar able to get right back up. Pops to Menard, gets it back. Glassman. Molnar. Middle of the pitch, standard 3-4 setup. You can see Reading trying to steal off into the open lane where possible. Forcing those handlers, just keep recycling it, shutting the downfield options. Glassman. Big gainer. Bobbled, and then flipped out. No contest. Great heads-up defensive awareness by Ryan Coons. There's the fake. It faked me out as well. Hutchinson goes to the dump instead, and that looked to be a fantastic grab, but Menard couldn't hold on.
Oh, and you can see the frustration of the man who played such amazing defense, probably one of the defensive players of the tournament for the Elite Invite early season. Casually goes up with one.
Menard. There's the recycle. Glassman gets huge. That is a turnover. You're throwing at 90% of the handlers in the division. Janssen. Back to Glassman. There is a call.
We talked about the casual one-handed grab attempt for Millard, but actually Glassman pick is going to bring that one back. These Grut players, and I think partially it's because they really like playing indoors in big spaces rather than the UK that plays indoors in quite small hard court spaces. They really train those one-handed grabs.
Alert. Goes with a quick dish over the top, offhand, backhand, collected by Glassman for the score. 10-5.
Well, we're still running a double up here. Glassman, of course, helped a fellow team here to reach this European Ultimate Championship finals this season. The wild card, of course, that was Jet Set from Leuven. A bit of a Cinderella story, hitting that season goal with that extra bit of help. There will be a change to the rostering rules next year. If you appear at the early season events and qualify through to a championship, you will be locked to that roster and required to appear for them all the way through towards the end of the season. But Glassman, of course, just 20 years of old, 20 years of age. He's currently studying for his bachelor's degree in international sport management and business, and he is all business every time he takes to the field.
He's been a rising star, had quite the eventful season, playing with the Dutch national team as well. So far, just finding very few people who are able to slow him down.
And of course, we have to really talk about Grut's season last year. That world appearance in Cincinnati, where they really got so unlucky in the round of 16, had a really tricky matchup against Seattle's Mixtape, played it out though and got through all the way to the finals, where they took the win to have the 5th best position in the world.
Victory over Noise to take that. Right now, Reading trying to keep their hopes alive of making a final. Lewis gets it across. Still just working it under. Hogan with the scooper all the way across. I thought he was looking for Thompson. Instead he finds Ryle. Ryle, who had that incredible layout grab in the quarter-final.
Yeah, lost all the wind in his lungs instantly, but that is a collision upfield. That is nasty. Looks like Naden had a bit of a toe-to-toe with Aaron Morrison that they weren't expecting. And an injury is going to be called. Hopefully both of them will be okay. It's off the disc, so I don't think we got it on our cameras, but that would be a big loss for either side. But, well, that is good to see. Both players popping up, rubbing their sore parts, but able to continue playing. So perhaps a little bit of clustered cutting between Hogan and Naden, causing some friendly fire.
Lewis goes back to Raul. Well, just everybody calm down, we're going to be fine. Withers tries to get free. Shut down initially. Lewis sends it across to Hogan. Morrison just lurking, wants a D. Back to Lewis, another D I should say.
And again, we have so many players playing out of their quote-unquote traditional normal positions here. This is not the A-game offense we're seeing out of Reading. They are being pushed to show us how flexible they can be.
We've got the kind of depth that Reading have as a club. Gotta be able to throw a couple of different looks at your opponents. Hogan throwing that look to Ryle. He's going up against Dunshern, and the big man collects.
But he is pretty close to it. Well, there we go. We do end up with a more traditional affair. Of course, that big frame of Danny Ryle, riling up his opponents, getting up big in that back corner. Absolute beaut of a big reaching backhand on a high-ish stall, certainly probably around the 6 or 7 territory, but Hogan's got a license to execute those kind of throws. Danny Ryle, of course, originally started playing Ultimate back in 2011 at the University of Bath. And he actually had a little bit of experience as well down under, played with Sunder Ultimate and has represented through the under-24s division, or as it was known back in 2015, the under-23s.
Just looking at that replay there, I wanted to bring it back very briefly to say, man, Jakob Dunshern really did get close to that disc. Yeah. He got a lot closer than I thought he did.
Yeah, no, he was literally about, you know, a wisp away from getting that block and making Ryle look very silly indeed. He's a big old man, certainly bigger than Jakob Dunshern, who's about average height for a European male, but he's got the ups. As the man from
Depends where in Europe you're talking about, because the average height of a Dutch male is a 6 foot, apparently. I saw that recently. Blasman, one of those people pushing that average up, gets it across to Klertz.
Are you in any way bitter about this fact, Norkin?
No, because then I'd have to be Dutch. Blasman sends it across to Janssen. And that one just goes a bit too far ahead.
Well, an opportunity here, a moment of hope for Reading. Now, if they can use this, it could be a platform to build upon. Mark Bignell, the man himself, bringing it back in bounds.
I want to talk about hope. Springs eternal in the heart of Mark Bignell.
It all lives in the gingery beard.
And he hasn't shaved yet. That's just a brilliant opening flick break. Taking care of business. Got it, centered it to Lou. Sends it back across to Hill. Hill with the breakthrough, looking to find Bignell, only finds the outstretched paw of Janssen.
That was a flail D, right? He wasn't looking at the Frisbee.
I think he's just developed a sixth sense where he always knows where the Frisbee is on the pitch.
Well, when you're a second generation ultimate athlete, that's what your reps get you.
Gossamer Whitcomb just swapping the disc back and forth between them a little bit. Hill doing great defense on Molnar to shut down the first option, and then they just go to the break side, and Janssen waiting for it. Does not want to wait with the disc on the sideline though. Such an aggressive cutter, you have to try and stop everything, which means you can rarely stop anything. Molnar doesn't want the shot straight down the line. After the big break back to Janssen. Jan Janssen down the line, Blasman. I wonder how many times he thought hammer before going for that backhand break to Molnar. Jan Blasman. So just waiting, and really appearing. Gets the break across. No goal. Janssen, Blasman, Janssen. Right outside the end zone, Klertz makes the cut, tracks about 2 defenders, Blasman comes in, there's the blade over the top. Tipped, but not enough. And sweeping up a little bit of dirty work at the back of the stack. That is Morris Whitcamp.
Oh my goodness gracious me. Well, at least once every tournament we have to say it, folks. That is why you catch your defensive blocks, and we know Alex Greer can make those grabs. If memory serves, coming across from Smog Ultimate to join this Reading roster. But Greer is a big fan of indoors, I know for sure. So he's got those reaching lofty grabs, but it just dribbles out of his fingertips. But what a heads-up play. That is how you get yourself into the pointy end of championships, folks. Be like Morris Whitcamp. Come in and just make sure that it ain't over till it's over. If I have one criticism of Grut, is that occasionally they back their male matching players a little bit more with these trust throws, the ones into sort of the pocket space. I mean, there's a fair shout. The female matching defenders of Reading are exceptionally good. So there's certainly a question there if maybe you're backing your male matches a little bit more than your female matches, just going toe-to-toe against their personnel coverage. But I'd like to see a little bit more involvement with female matching players in those stickier situations for Grut, because they are available in my eyes, but that's just one person's opinion.
I feel like the real threats of Grut's female matching players tend to play a lot more on their D-line. Certainly when it comes to the receiving core, anyway. As Lewis collects it, sends it to Naden. Bounces across to Ryle. Lewis makes the move, Dunshire, absolutely shutting him down. Forced to go to Hogan. Hogan resets, Naden. Disc in hand, tries to lead Thompson for the score, but it's just too far ahead.
A difficult one. There wasn't that much separation up line to really give yourself the space to make a play.
So Grut with another chance to get a break. Not as many big names on this line as you don't expect from a Grut team. Still plenty of talent.
You mean Eliza Boss isn't a big name?
Not as many. I didn't say none.
Well, that's the thing. It is a big old stacked Grut squad, and they play with each other and against each other at trainings.
Showing how they continue to build strength over the years. It's not just one generation of talent. They're trying to build a club, a community. Izzy Collins with the disc. That's exactly what Reading are. But now they're being tested to their maximum. Loads up and unleashes. Looking for Collins in the end zone. Brilliant defensive effort. Firla Janssen. Oh, it's going to be a pull.
Well, that looked pretty good to me. A big old ripper just grabs those fingertips under the disc and pulls them away with quite a lot of energy. Yeah, it's a difficult one. Going up inside the channel of Izzy Collins is a really difficult thing to do, holding her own. Of course, we'll have to get a Reading player to watch alongside Grut if they want to use the replay footage. But let's get another look at that one. Yeah, there isn't, in my mind, a proper solid connection where she stops rotation for Izzy Collins. It's good to have the discussion to talk it through, but for me, Firla Janssen there, really able to come up and deny. But what a shot that was. Izzy Collins is an amazing receiver, of course, formerly of Bristol women's fame. Of course, if I recall correctly, she was indeed on that bronze medal winning team last season, so a contested foul is going to be the outcome here. I think that is a fair one, but what a way to see two female matching athletes going up big. And of course, we use the terminology female matching because that is what the rules use for the policies. It makes it external questions, not internal questions.
And if there's one thing that we always do here at ULTI.TV, it's follow the rules.
I respect the 3 meter line.
Gets it down the line. Wong, Naden. Naden stretches it. Back to Thompson. Lewis. Lewis is working tirelessly. Takes it down the line to Thompson. Thompson looking and shooting for Naden for the completion and the goal. 11-7.
Well, they punched that one in on the second asking. Naden, someone so hard to shut down in the end zone, or really any part of the pitch. She actually got the chance to play double division action in the times post-COVID back in the UK, and that was really when Aidan rose to the top of the conversations back home in the UK. Played for Smog, formerly Smog Women, and was just basically unstoppable. The reports we were getting from the kind of smaller format mini tournaments that were going on to kind of keep things appropriately distanced and non-super spreadery. It was really just a pleasure to watch the little bits of, you know, sideline Instagram coverage that were coming out, because it just puts the work in the gym and it pays off, and an attitude to match it as well. Of course, the big person missing for Reading Ultimate, the number 5 Molly Wedge. She's just had surgery.
Send all of our best wishes to Molly Wedge for her recovery process.
It is part of sport. Unfortunately, injuries do occur. One of the most notable injury we've had so far this championship is a possible meniscus injury to Nikki Priam in the women's division.
Send her our best wishes as well. Because right now I think there's a couple of evil thoughts gathering in the minds of these Reading players. They're trying to hatch some kind of plan to disrupt Grut. They want to trip them as they try to ride off into the sunset. There's a fantastic leading pass. Plenty of time to chase it down. Janssen, Blasman. Back to Jan Janssen. As Philip Mulnar fakes the flick, sends the backhand. Piper tries to peel off. That means there's going to be separation. All of Reading collapse. Looking to limit it. I like this change in defensive look by Reading. You got to throw a couple of different things at your opponents, especially in these stages of the game. Janssen, very calm with the disc in hand, not about to take on anything overly adventurous or risky. Mulnar, brilliant break across to Janssen. He always throws and goes. Looks for the quick dish back into the middle. Sends it to Janssen. Blasman.
I'm loving Walt Janssen playing some true against an indoor zone vibe, just standing on that back line with his arms in the air, waiting for a blade.
If Blasman's got the disc in hand, I think he wouldn't have to wait too long. Right now, though, Grut keeping it conservative.
Yeah, but again, they can still continue to run the clock down. They've got a huge advantage on the scoreboard and all the time in the world.
Menard honestly thought she was standing in the end zone. Just outside of it. Goes to Mulnar. Back to Menard. Reading have really managed to stymie this Grut offense right outside of the end zone. Dominic Knight doing a lot of hard work on the force.
He's young, he's got the legs.
Through the middle to Janssen. The defense collapses again. Janssen and Blasman working together, just quick passes. Trying to step through. There's the pop over the top. Janssen still just outside the end zone by about 2 meters, if even. Blasman. Again, the pop to Janssen. And there's the throw through the middle. It took a while, but eventually they're able to get the score.
Difficult to catch the number from this distance. I think that's Elena. No, it is Jette Bardul with the goal. And indeed, you don't. It's the tricky thing. Obviously, I do like the introducing a bit of difference, throwing another look. They don't transition to Reading Ultimate. They hold that zone all the way forth to the end zone, that red zone defensive stand. It did slow down Hood, gave them some questions to answer, but I think realistically, we need to have quite an aggressive zone at this stage in the game, because we are just straight up trading through this second half. Grut are taking their time for their offensive points. We do not have a pass tally being counted at this stage in the tournament. Of course, bring you the full stats for later on stages, definitely tomorrow. But we do have our sideline volunteers, and massive thanks to all of the sideline volunteers as Doggo Cam lives on. But really, Grut are taking their time. They're not rushed, they're not hurried. They look really calm. My little bit of besmirched the reputation of playing true mixed, definitely absolved in that point. I retract my statement. They used every player on the pitch, and marvellously so.
How will Reading respond? 12-7 down, a 5-point gap. Substantial, but this is the EUCF semi-final. It's a substantial time. They look deep, go for the shot. Fantastic grab by Ryle, reaching over Morrison to collect that one. Gets it back to Wilson. Wilson sends it down the line to Naden. A little bit of standoff from Slob. Naden shoots it. He's able to find Wong, who throws it to the end zone, but I think that's going to come back.
Yep, I believe so.
So Wong to Wilson won't count.
Amy Wong throwing it right though. Came through Reading as well. We talked about her juniors career. Shout out to the other Wong sister, also a Reading Ultimate athlete. And in fact, Wong was part of one of the 3 squads that Reading Ultimate took to Women's Tour. Not all of them true Readingites. They scooped up a collection of players from the South Coast, but that's 3 women's teams they've put, and proper ones, back in the day, home in UK.
Withers gets it across to Lewis. Lewis looks for Thompson. Thompson can only reach out in desperation and feel it rattle off her fingers.
Yeah, the Canadian twin are being denied the Thompson Bowl here at the EUCF as yet. Of course, the other Thompson twin playing for Smog.
Dunshern. Searing inside pass. Not an easy one to collect at all for Slob. Slob sends it down the line. Vandenbrink. Morrison working very hard to get free. Eventually goes back to Lola Dam instead. Epstein gets overthrown. He's going to chase it. I thought he was going to get it too. The disc hits the dirt. Didn't get another chance to hold.
They are getting chances though. They have had successful D points here. They just haven't been able to convert any of them yet. 8 points they've been successful.
Wilson looking for Naden. Has to go back to Thompson. Thompson has Wong in the dump position. Has Lewis directly in front of her. Hits Lewis. Lewis across to Withers. Withers and Wilson. Surveying, waiting, hits Naden. Naden throws it, Wong right outside the end zone. Centers it back to Withers. Thompson cuts open side, Wilson cuts break. Neither of them get free enough for him, so he tries to lead Naden. She gives everything she has. That disc was destined for dirt, it seems. Van den Brink picking it up and calling a timeout. There's going to be a little bit of conversation while they try to work out what the stall was, as Grut looking for another break here. They haven't had one in the second half yet, but they still have a 5-point cushion courtesy of starting the game on defense, as Grut currently lead 12-7.
There are so many reasons to outfit your team in Force beyond just looking the part of a champion. Force offers professional design services with their dedicated graphics team. All apparel is produced in France. Force works with a local labour team and their raw materials are sourced in Europe. Force insists on transparency with no hidden fees and international express shipping. Look the part and play the part with Force Sportswear.
Wait. Isn't this for the other apparel? We've got like new stuff, right? Bring it in. Feast your eyes on the new fan version of our iconic ULTI.TV sweatshirts. Great fan gear available for you. Check out our new range of colors and insist on staying warm and looking fresh. Shipping is available after EUCF. Get your fan gear and be one of us.
Welcome back, everybody at home who's enjoying it all over the world. ULTI.TV bringing you top quality European action here in the mixed division at EUCF 2023. Van den Brink stands over the disc, getting ready to pick it up. He is looking at Withers.
On the brink of the next offense.
It's right there. Able to center it across to Slob. Perhaps two names you're not quite so familiar with, but trust us, keep watching Ultimate, you'll get plenty familiar with them. Dunshern calls for the under. Wong almost picked the pocket. Epstein was able to collect instead. Back across to Morrison on the near sideline. Morrison. He puts it up for Lola to show off for the fans at home. Dan takes it down. Gets it back to Epstein. Down in the handler space briefly, clears out. Van den Brink comes back. Brilliant swing across. And the leading pass, Van den Brink's going to have to chase it down. He does so, just gets there in time and then shoots for Dunshern, and it's another break for Grut.
Well, that is quite something. There was a little bit of a push there on the shoulder, I think, of Becky Thompson, who nearly got the big bosh there. So not the slickest of moves. Massive credit to Imi Wong, the number 57. You see on the mark there as that final couple of throws went off. Indeed, just I think a little touch to avoid the bigger contact there, so all's fair. But let's talk about the break chances, the opportunities here at the moment. So Reading have come out on defense 8 times. They've had 3 successful points where they have managed to turn over Grut's offense, but Grut have had 12 points. They are 50% in success rates, and every time they've had an opportunity, more or less, they've punched it in. There's just one opportunity that they've missed so far in this game. They are really being ruthless in this semi-final stage here in the mixed division. That's their first break of the second half, but it's just putting themselves with plenty of daylight between themselves and their opponents, and we are running out of daylight here. Local time just 5 past 5. Or 5 past 6, sorry. 5 past, no, it's got to be 5 past 5. This game started at 4 o'clock, look, and don't look at me funny.
I was just astonished that it's 5 past 5.
We've got 40 minutes left between the next game and this one.
Well, let's see if Reading can fill it with one of the most electric comebacks we've ever seen. Wilson lets loose and rips one deep. 2 players chasing it down. It's Naden collecting for the score.
And you know that Rachel Naden was communicating with Emma Klima there as they both ran it down. The returning athlete and the captain, of course, Naden. This is not her debut in the red for Reading Ultimate, who, of course, had their Masters outfit. Very successful at the European Masters Ultimate Club Championships last season here on these very fields in Wrocław. We had a tight game against the Italians, B-Fire. But the seniors division, of course, this is a rematch. We're going to get 1 new finalist guaranteed in the mixed division.
And that's going to be brought to us in the other semi-final, which we are bringing to you.
Oh yeah, should we get a score update on what's happening in that game?
I think we should, so turn off your volume if you don't want to know how that game is going on for about the next 30 seconds.
Well, it's very different affair to this one. Of course, 5 points clear are Grut, but it is a much closer affair. Les Marchands are trailing deep space. They've just punched one on the board to make it 11-9 in favour of the London side, who of course took their first national championship title at the EUCR West after quite a few seasons of putting across some of the best players in the UK to the mixed division.
Glassman with the disc. It's Grut back on O. Looking to get back on track for another finals appearance. Janssen, a beautiful little inside flick, or backhand even leading Molnar. Knight recovered well to stop the hook opportunity. You've got Alerts in the backfield. That's more of a hook threat, really.
To put it lightly.
Janssen. Well, Janssen to up high, and Menard to the ladder, takes it down. Menard waiting. Good dump defense. And Abbas, if he gets up big, but once again, Grut recover everything is going right for the Dutch.
Well, you say recover everything, but you've got to catch those.
Bardon to Blasman. Blasman just sits it out comfortably for Janssen to chase. And he shoots one, he's looking for Klert. This ever so slight blade. And that is a turnover. I don't know if I called a drop when you consider where Glertz was in relation to the back line of the field. Not sure if he was still in bounds.
Well, if you're Glertz, you're going to post that one up as a drop, aren't you, in your own mental tally?
That's a pretty classic Grut play.
Yeah, you could see again a replay of that missed defensive opportunity. Millard, it smacks him right in the open palm. So definitely a catchable one for the number 72.
Let's see, can Reading get their first break of the game? They're looking to go deep for it, trying to get the best of Blas. And they do! Absolutely incredible work! Millard caught that one.
And all of Reading Ultimate now flood the field because that is the first break for Reading of this game. They have proved they can do it. They put the pressure on. They got the blocks that they didn't quite manage to hang on to. But the pressure being piled on by that line of 7. And it wasn't some of the big names of this Reading side, certainly. Well, Klima, of course, we mentioned one of the captains. And the number 72, Stephen Millard, we already gave him a solid name check, having done a great job at the Elite Invite. We asked the question in our preview show of who was going to step up with some of the big lads from Reading missing. Millard was one of them.
No, you don't see too often. A butt spike.
A butt spike? Well, they actually have. So they're little dragon stuffy. Or what do we call them in British English? Stuffed animal. Anyway, regardless. So the squishy little red dragon on the sideline, that sort of thing you'd see at a service station or a rest stop. It's actually been brought along because some people were saying that Reading spiked too much, certain players on Reading, and they needed to stop it, so they now spike the dragon.
I've spoken about this earlier this weekend. I'm a big fan of just having an extra disc that's just for spiking. The American Under-24 team earlier this year in Nottingham had their special spiking disc.
I can appreciate it.
I can appreciate throws like that. The offhand backhand, I'm sure Lou Burgess can as well. Considers it an essential throw. The way they're using it, it certainly is. Blasman gets it back from Molnar. Reading respond again with his own. Molnar just cuts straight up the line and then bleeds it directly at Piper. There's an uncontested foul. That makes sense.
Yeah, not a surprise there. Poor Laurel getting it directly in the bosh. In fact, that might have been saved by just a little pop of her chest angle.
Goes back to Blasman. Trying to limit what's available. They're trying to force all these throws into the middle channel where Bignell is waiting, but Walt just takes a step behind him and the blade over the top. The wind has really died down as the day has worn on. The Grut continue to rise in strength. Blasman, another offhand backhand pop to Molnar. They seem very comfortable against this zone. Blasman, again, that huge pivot just reduces the effectiveness of basically every force he comes up against. Blasman has Molnar safely behind him. Molnar to Janssen. Jan Janssen. Molnar makes the cut in front. Collects. Scoops it across to Blasman. They're still about a meter out. Molnar. Janssen. Back to Molnar. And he looks to find Blasman with the hop, the skip, and the score. And a rather gentle edge spike, 14-9.
Well, with 20 minutes left on the game clock or thereabouts, we're going to see plenty of game points in the pocket for Grut if they're going to need them. And it is a little bit of an if, of course. The last point before that, when we did see Reading take a break against Grut, that was through intense person coverage, getting those matchups right, really having scouted and figured things out. Tom Blasman, of course, getting his 4th goal of this game, involved in 7, so half of Grut's possessions. It's not a surprise. He's been on their O-line for, actually, I think I'm going to go out there. I think he's been on their O-line since the very inception of this Grut, of course, toddler team. If you weren't aware, that is where the name comes from, sort of like an equivalent of Rugrats in Dutch. But these youngsters now really reaching full blossom and maturity and really just put Reading Ultimate almost completely to bed. But the comeback, I'm here for it.
Well, you know what you have to do before you go to bed? You have to read a book. Let's see if there'll be a little bit more reading left to go before the curtains get drawn on Reading season. Lewis has Thompson going deep. Decides to take the under instead. Naden Withers. Conversation.
Yeah, there's a lot of switching around for the matchups of Grut. Don't think they came out in a zone per se, but a little bit of loose matching, switching around, trying to just get in the way, challenge and clog the lanes. A little bit of pick for your money.
Withers. He looks to find Thompson, tries to send over the defender. That was almost a blind block by Suzanne Slob, but Thompson's able to get the score, 14-10.
And again, we see players coming out and being in creative positions. Nice to see Withers there, getting himself on the stats board. Thompson, usually the one throwing the assists. Had a couple of quirky ones in the early stages of the game, so doing damage. And that one much better weighted for her. She's made some really solid attacks on the up lines. That one just narrowly escapes the fingertips of Suzanne Slob, but it will work out. 10 to the 14 of Grut, but now they're going to come out on offense. You've got Galertz, you've got Blasman, you've got both Janssens. Yeah, both Janssens. Anna Minard, back of her campaign of breaking every ankle in the open division at the under-24s level. And of course, Philippe Molnar.
So brave, but yet so true. Philippe Molnar, and then rounding it up is Morris Wickham. So that's the starting 7. What kind of defense are Reading putting out there to try and limit them? Do they go to the zone?
It's got to be match. It's not going to be zone. They eat up the zone. The overheads that they can execute in the low breeze conditions, we saw it in the last point. That would be my choice if I was the defensive coordinator for Reading. And here it is.
With the pull, Will steps up on the block. 4 male matching players, 3 female matching players. This game breaks down. Janssen back to Blasman. Molnar takes off deep. Didn't see too much of that from him. Coming all the way back under is Wickham. Janssen. Back by Brown, finds Molnar, clearing back under at pace. Blasman. Spreads around to Menard. Real terror on the defensive side. We'll have her hands full with Menard. Across to Janssen. Back to Menard. You can see Lou just keeps poaching off, trying to interrupt the other flow, but it leaves Menard rather open. Gonna need to tighten up. Menard and Wickham in the backfield, looking at a 2-5 split. Wickham clears out deep. Blasman comes under. Goes for the hammer across to Janssen. Still outside the end zone, inside flick, break, Wickham scores, and Grut, your reigning champions, are going back to the final.
That was a statement game for Grut in my book. The first half tearing the roof off, 4 breaks, doubling up Reading's scoreline. I mean, it was the game of the tournament, certainly the game of division last season, that final between these two Titan sides. That was a bit of a more balanced affair, of course, went all the way to the wire to Universe. Reading managing to break back in the first half, but I think there's been some solid scouting from Grut coming up. I said, they've come of age, they're blossoming here. This may well be their swan song championship here in Europe. Of course, after that 5th in the world performance last season. But looking at the stats of this game, the break opportunities taken a little bit lower than 50% on the successful D points that they played. Grut, 6 turnovers for 14 points on defense. But that is an impressive statement of the 15 goals and 14 points coming out on defense. I'll tell you what, that is, yeah. That is, I'm looking at the right part of my scoreboard. But credit to performance as well to Reading. They really did grind their way through. They showed they have the versatility and flexibility, certainly for their O-line, to really represent themselves well and challenge their opponents. So Lorcan, are we going to bring a spoiler in?
So swap over now if you don't know the score, or thank you very much for joining us if you want to save it for later. Everybody else, the score currently is, in our other semi-final,
13-9 to Deep Space. They have punched another break on the board. Thomas Fisher connecting with Max Squires. Again, massive thank you to all of our volunteer scorekeepers here locally in Wrocław, keeping us flush with the results as they come in. We're going to get out ourselves, Lorcan, and then watch the end of that semi-final.
I think it might be time to hop on some bikes, but for everybody else, you can just click right across and enjoy that game as it reaches its natural conclusion. And we've got one more round of action still to come for you today. We have got on this field Jinx taking on Troubles in the women's semi-final, and in the men's semi-final in the stadium we have Mooncatchers taking on BFD La Fada. So some real firecracker games yet to come. So where else would you go? Where else could you want to be? On behalf of myself, Lorcan Murray, the wonderful Hannah Pendlebury, all of our crew, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time. Next catch time, 6.
Thanks.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, ultimate.
ULTI.TV.